Some Australian Open.
Yes.
So I think let's start off and talk about the actual match that's been going on the entire time we've been having this podcast, is what we've been watching.
It's actually been an amazing match.
Yeah,
if I've been quiet for long periods, it's because I've been watching Kyrgios and Tim go at this here.
Yeah, so it's Kyrgios has won the first two, and then Tim has won the second two. So 2 sets each.
Yeah,
best way to
going
explain
down to it. Fifth set game for Kyrgios in a row after he got the win against the 29th seed Hugo Humbert from France. Humbert. That was an absolute marathon, and again,
bit of a war itself.
Yeah, going down it. Mind you, Dominic Thiem is the 3rd seed in this, so
he's a gun. Yep, he's one of
absolute gun.
If Nick can pull, he currently leads by a game in this set.
He's holding serve in the 5th set at the moment, but Tim's looks
just
like
served to love, and Tiem's 40-15 here in the first. We were talking last week about, the tennis is on for a month a year, and everyone seems to just swarm around it, and then you forget about it.
Especially in Australia.
That's what I meant. Like, let's be honest.
Well, you got to watch it in the middle of the night.
100%. It's international, and we love when we've got an Aussie to cheer on. We love staying up late for late. And then the other night, it was Wednesday night, I was at the old man's house, and we were just all sitting up, and we stayed up and watched it. Like it's what you do in January and February now with COVID, but you stay up and you watch the Aussies and you cheer them on, and you've got opinions on tennis, you care about tennis, and then 3 weeks later you're like, oh, that's a sport still. If it's not for Nick Kyrgios being a dickhead, you actually forget about the sport. That grit, that passion is what everyone's crying out for. Give a shit, because you have all the talent in the world. And look what you can produce. Like you've taken one of the best players in the world. You are one of the best players in the world. Like you could be this number 3 seed. It could be the other way around. So it's good to see. And he just plays this, like he's got so much flair, and he hits the shit out of the ball, and he talks to his box and he swears. He talks to the
family,
and we can say, oh, it's not part of the game, but we love that. We talk about it. Like we talk about the cricket team needing a figure to scapegoat. Like we love talking about Nick Kyrgios and having opinions of him. Look at that backhand. Like that's
he's got talent.
Yeah,
I've always been a bit in the camp of he's a bit of a flog. He's a loud mouth, but I'm not going to say he's growing on me. I'm not going to say that I necessarily like him, but I understand him now. He just gets bashed absolutely bashed.
Yeah.
And I think you can definitely back him. Looking at this Kyrgios and Djokovic feud that's been going on.
Let's have a chat about that. Yeah. I was saying to the boys pre-recording, I reckon 2 years ago I was like, Djokovic is a good guy. He always has a joke. He speaks 6 languages. He's one of the best tennis players ever.
Yeah.
Sure.
The more that comes out, the more he just seems like a knobhead.
Yeah. And he was head of the player union for a number of years.
Is he still, or is he?
I don't think he is anymore. And Jimmy would love to chase that up for him. I can see him over there building for it.
Tennis players union.
And he always threatened to, bring it back to the players. So he had the players on side. And like you said, Peps, again, we see him once a year, and we love. He's got the invitations. He's funny, man.
Yeah.
But like you said, the more you hear this, you just go, you're a knob. Like you're
egotistic.
It is a bit of me time, and that no one ever can deny how good a tennis player he is. He's one of the
top 3.
Call it 5 to be.
You probably don't get to where he is without that. That's
individual sport. You need to have. That's why we love Roger Federer, because he just seems like this well-rounded, awesome bloke.
Man,
Look at your golf players that Tiger Woods has had his troubles. Djokovic, you are the man. You are literally the one thing. Your family's poured everything into you.
It's not a team sport
on his resume.
Exactly right, and that's where this sort of feud came in with Kyrgios. Kyrgios calling him out for his antics around, the lockdown, and before then with his private tennis tournaments and not treating the pandemic properly, and then what goes and happens that
didn't he host a tournament and everyone got COVID?
Everyone there got COVID, yeah. And people didn't go, and Kyrgios was very, very vocal about his opposition to that, and fair to it, in the middle of the global pandemic.
Well, let's run through some of the back and forth. So most of this has been through their press conferences after matches.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to be them talking directly to each other, but
exactly. Maybe at this point they might throw hands. So so Djokovic said very much after one of his matches that, hey, I don't respect what Nick Kyrgios does off the court, and Nick kind of defended his off the court actions, like his his donations through the bushfire appeal, the delivery of meals for those in need during COVID, I'm I'm trying to do good things off the court versus like a guy that's partying with his shirt off during a glal pandemic.
Yeah.
Like,
That's what Nick said.
yeah, exactly. So,
You know what impressed me about what Nick said there? He was introspective, and he said, if this guy wants to bag me as a tennis player
on the court.
I'll cop that.
Yeah.
I'll cop that.
That makes sense.
He's better at tennis than me. You want to bag me about me being not as good at tennis as you? Sure, I'll wear that. And it's one of the first times that I've seen him do that in the media and really own it.
Yeah.
And really own it and go, okay, but
you can't question.
fuck off.
Yeah.
Calling me saying that you don't respect me off the court. Because off the court he's doing it. He's doing everything.
Yeah, whatever.
he
Yeah,
can
exactly
recently.
right.
Yeah, and he was even talking about his own. I can't remember the exact words that he used, but essentially his on-court antics. He said
That's what he meant by the on-court stuff. That, he swears, he carries on.
Fine,
100%.
Fine, I'll cop that on the chin.
I do that. That's what I do. If you don't like that, you're more than welcome to hate that. But exactly right.
And
What have I done wrong off the court?
Yep. And it's one of the first times I've gone, you know what, Nick?
You've nailed that. He's absolutely
right.
nailed that.
You're
Yeah.
100% right there, and I back in 100% there. You want to have a jab on the court, fine, but off the court, fuck off.
Yeah. Exactly right. Like Nick didn't play tennis last year. Like he didn't play because of this stuff going on.
That's why his ranking's so low.
Exactly right. Yeah. So
he wasn't traveling all over the world playing in all the championships. He's like, well, I'm going to stay at home. Like,
That's an interesting thing you've got there as well.
So going back to head, Djokovic obviously ranked number one, Kyrgios 47. Who leads in the head-to-head?
Let's go Kyrgios for the fact that you two are smiling down the end of this table.
I didn't know this. Yeah, they've only ever played twice.
They've only played twice, and Kyrgios has won both of them. So
really,
yeah,
because he actually said that in the press conference. He said, even though I've done quite well against him.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. They've played twice.
Back
that's
in
part of the Kyrgios problem, isn't it?
Well, he's got the talent to beat the best.
This is what I mean. If he plays every tournament and gives it his best every tournament, he's a top 10, he's a top 5 player. I have no doubt about that whatsoever. As TM seems to have frozen.
What's happened there? Are you serious? That's what Nick's saying. Did you see there was a little back and forth with the umpire?
The chair umpire, yeah.
And some of the comments were a little bit funny. They didn't really have too much to do with the essentially, the let machine was playing up, and he didn't think he was touching the net, and he was getting called for lets. He thought they were fair serves. I can't remember the lass's name. Maybe Croatian or some sort of Balkan name.
Oh, yeah.
You're too busy looking at Instagram. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I didn't quite get to the Instagram. I was more in the comments, but rather attractive young lady.
As chair umpires go, as we look at the old fella here, have a go at Kyrgios.
Calling it, and they had a very heated exchange in the second round. I imagine, her Instagram following or whatever socials she's on will ballooned after that.
She did let Nick get away with it. I think he swore and he didn't get a violation, so she let him. Yeah. She understood the frustration instead of just
and if it
throwing the book at him, going,
if the technology's playing up, then he's probably got a right to be a little bit fired up.
Okay, yeah. It's everything he does, you kind of go, well, yeah, we get it, but you just. Because he carries on,
just go about it better.
But he can't because he won't because it's not him.
It's his style.
And I think the Australian public
like
is
McElroy, like it's that's
you just put up with it.
But McEnroe has always criticised Kyrgios.
It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah,
because he was a fucking brat.
Yeah,
just as bad, if not worse.
Which is Kyrgios' response, and Kyrgios has no with the Djokovic exchange. He says to McEnroe, "Says, you kidding? Like, let's look at some tapes."
So to finish off, Kyrgios called Djokovic a strange cat.
Shot.
I think that's warranted.
Yeah, Again,
cat, that's a good choice of words there.
Thoughts.
Could have said worse.
I imagine. I imagine he has to his box.
Off the camera, I imagine the words are slightly different than strange cat.
It was in a press conference, so he probably knew there would be a few fines if he said some other things coming his way.
So you mentioned it before as well, but after he had that little interview, Kyrgios to himself said, "Bang." Nailed him.
He was happy with he's happy with that response.
Yeah, so after calling him a weird cat.
It looked like Joseph McGrath's putting when he's just hit one and he goes, "Yep, that's in." And most of the time it does go in. Sometimes you just know that you've nailed it.
Yeah.
So I think the next thing we should probably talk about is this lockdown. So Melbourne have had a bunch of cases that come out of hotel quarantine, the UK strain. They've got 13 odd cases. They're worried about how it's growing. New South Wales, of course, worried about guys coming from Melbourne to New South Wales. So they're enforcing.
We hate to be getting married next week.
Yeah. So they're imposing a 5-day lockdown that starts at midnight tonight. So in about an hour and 40 minutes. How do we think this is going to affect the tennis? Because they've said no crowds. Looking at this crowd for this Kyrgios game, it's a packed stadium. They just showed the outside before, and it looks like there's shitloads of people walking around.
Yeah, it's not many masks getting around. I can't say.
No, but you can see. I think we were talking a little bit beforehand about how does this probably affect the local talent, so the Australians, because you look at Kyrgios and the crad, it's a big crowd. Honestly, it's a big crowd.
Right behind him.
They're right behind him.
Yeah.
Say he wins this and then he gets past him. What's it mean next round? Like, it's going to be 0.
I think especially for guys like Kyrgios who are such like confidence guys, and I don't know if would it affect say an Ash Barty as much or.
Well, you see Kyrgios pump up the crowd. He's very not traditional that way. He makes a noise.
He interacts with them.
He needs his box. He needs to have that. I mean, he's a fucking head case. Like, let's be honest. He'd admitted it. Like he just. Again, you got all this pressure looking at you. You can't hide behind your forward. You can't hide behind the offensive line. You can't handball it off.
It's just you.
It is you. So of course you're going to tweak and snap and say shit. So
especially now with no crowds, it's like, how do you feed off? There's no energy to feed off. So does
it's a great question. That's part of the advantage of being an Aussie at the Aussie Open. It's just like a Palm in Wimbledon or wherever.
Who else is left?
That run through. So Kokkinakis won his first round. He won his first match in the first round. The funny story of that was he went down to Kmart and bought a whole bunch of $6 teas, and that's what he wore to win. Because all the sponsors have left him. He's been out for probably, I think it's close to 2 years since he last played at tennis, like in a professional, whether that was at least a Grand Slam. I know that. I'm not sure if he played.
He never quite hit the heights of touring on the ATP level. Unfortunately, he's probably letting down. He's still quite young, so the future's bright there. I think he's either the same age or a year younger than Kyrgios, because he's in Kyrgios' box at the moment. They're good friends. They play doubles together, of course. So Kokkinakis went through the first round, but then lost an absolute war. Great match
against the Greek 5th seed. How do you say his last name?
Tsitsipas. Obviously, Kokkinakis being a Greek Australian.
And they were showing the love after the game. Tsitsipas came out and said like that, hopefully he can stay healthy. Shades of Casey Delacroix with her Target kit a couple of years ago.
But it just showed like the talent he's got, because matching it with the 5th seed and having the longest match in the tournament so far, like he's definitely got the ability, and that's what everyone kind of saw in him when he first came out, with him and Nick coming through the systems, the academies here in Australia. Like, hey, he's got some talent that we could take forward. So unfortunately, he did lose that match, and now we'll play doubles. Interesting enough, he had that absolute war of that match. And then had to play doubles with Kyrgios an hour later. So
it's wild how they do
that.
It's wild how they stack it up. It's pretty. It's a testament to how fit these guys are.
Indeed.
They run it in crazy amounts and then hit the ball and repeat efforts. It's
maybe why Kyrgios is wearing what's those things called?
Compression
bandage on his left calf.
The second round wasn't nice to the Aussies. Alexei Popyrin went out against the South African Lloyd Harris.
Tomic the Tank Engine is another one.
Chris O'Connell went out to the Romanian Albert. Duckworth went out to the French Canadian that just won his matchup against Shapovalov. Olga Aliassime,
who had just beaten Thomas the Tank Engine. So.
Good young player coming through.
Tomic definitely going down in
living in the past, unfortunately.
Books. Yeah, we were talking.
His missus is fit, but outside that, he's not punching about his way anywhere else.
She also complains about not being able to go to the hairdresser twice a week. So I don't really care how fit you are. If that's the chat you're going to serve up. We were saying before we went to air, Tomic actually made a quarterfinal at Wimbledon back in 2011.
Yep.
It's wild.
The height of his
as a
career.
19-year-old.
Yeah.
As a 19-year-old.
And we thought he was the future of Australia. Like, That's almost the point where Leighton kind of was
that
off, if not
transition,
retiring. We're like,
yeah.
oh, is this the guy? Is this the guy to get behind? And unfortunately, no, it wasn't.
Yeah, but like that's 10 years ago. Like what a waste. Like we think Kyrgios, if he gives a little bit more, he could.
I think he crashed his Beamer like the next year. The orange Beamer.
But he was going to school. It's just, and he just, he's got his residence in Monte Carlo, I think. Doesn't pay taxes.
Did you see the story about his old man getting stuck in a Sam Goth at the Australian Open as well?
Yeah.
It was like, Anyway, that's besides the story.
Reminiscent of Jelena Dokic's old man.
Yeah, but again, we talk about the tennis. Like you're a kid, your parents are pumping it into you.
Yeah.
You're their hope. You become good, and now they're good. Like, and it's
So I guess circle back to finish up the point on the lockdown. So no crowds for 5 days.
Yes,
I think
Alex Bolt, the Aussie, he went out to Dimitrov, and that's just on the men's side of the draw. Obviously, Ash Barty is through to the third round.
I think she's the only one left.
she's been selecting.
Sam Stosur got absolutely smoked.
Yeah.
Tom Lanovich gagged up.
Yes,
I think
Barty beat Dasha. Gavrilova. So that's an Aussie taking out an Aussie there. I think in the chicks, it's just Barty left.
Yeah.
Just Barty left.
So my final point on the lockdown was going to be, it probably leans itself better to the international guys that came across because, they've travelled here and they've gotten barely any support. Barty is probably the Australian favourite that could probably deal the best without crowds. But it'd be interesting to see how that goes going forward because I think left in the men's division for us is now Kyrgios and
the Demon.
And the Demon, who won his own, I think, 5-match war.
He won straight sets against Pablo Cuevas.
Cuevas,
the Uruguayan.
That I think was this morning from
overnight. Last night. So he hasn't dropped a set yet. He's looking very good.
He's looked nice. I think
he does have Fabio Fognini tomorrow, who's the 16th ranked.
Older
Italian
gentleman.
He's never won a Grand Slam, Fognini, but I believe he might have been to semi-finals.
He's been around a while, Fognini. He's done the tour for a while, but
he's a quarterfinal at the French is his best.
He's
one of those guys that's just always there
on the tour.
Always goes to about the fourth round and then gets fed Nadal.
And never was that good, never will be, but just
it's won 15 million US.
30 all here. This is a pretty critical point here for Kyrgios and TM. With the point with the crowds, I think it's a huge anyone would love that boost. Like this is such a boost.
Yeah.
So
it's high. It gets you that adrenaline.
I think it just brings it
different.
Even if it is a 5% boost, it is definitely a boost. But
Yeah. So where will we be after 5 days?
It's only really two. It'll be two more matches for Kyrgios.
Quarterfinals.
So
it might be the quarterfinals next week.
Yeah, this is
the third.
Love it.
And
shot.
There we go. By the end of tonight,
40-30.
half of the men's third will be done, and then all the other third round games tomorrow.
Okay.
So
finals, and you imagine the fingers crossed, touch wood. After those 5 days, it's okay, back to normal. Then they flood in. Hopefully, Ash is still around. God, if Kyrgios ends up being there, imagine the outpouring. And
if he's that deep, is he going in a quarterfinal at that point? Yeah,
I think quarterfinal he gets Zverev, maybe. Anyway. Not sure. Sorry about that.
Barty has the Russian 29th seed Alexandrova. So you'd think she'd back herself there.
Well, that's the last kind of good point. The defending champ, Sophia Lennon. She was knocked out. So Barty, I don't want to say has a clear run, but
Kenin. Sorry, Kenin.
I must have spelled it wrong.
Kanepi beat Kenin.
Yes, Kanepi beat Kenin. But this is different. Lennon is I think you are right. The German she is, isn't she?
Yeah. Whoever won the championship last year, she's out. That's all I know. So Barty's got I don't want to say an easy run, but she's got a pretty clear run to the final. And
she's got a 29th seed, and then the winner of a 21st seed versus an unseeded girl.
Which side of the draw is Serena? Is she on Barty's side? I
think on the opposite.
Okay, so there you go.
Let me have a look here. Shout out to Sarah yesterday who said, "Oh look, Serena's got bigger pipes than you do, Pepsi," and I don't think she was wrong in saying that. Yeah. So Serena's on the other side.
Oh, big trouble here.
She's 10th seed.
Break point for TM.
Yeah, so she won't have to go up against Serena until the final.
Yep.
If Serena's 10th seed.
Again, yeah,
no
Serena's-
guarantee
yeah.
she's there.
I wouldn't bet against her.
Yeah, I wouldn't bet again.
Neither would I.
But Barty's, of course, the big hope for Australia to win an Australian Open.
Obviously never won here before. She's
No.
actually...
And it's been a very long time since an Australian won the Australian Open.
Oh, yeah. Can you get that last Australian to win Australian
I don't want to
Open?
say it was Margaret Court.
No, it was before then. I reckon I can get this.
Newcomb?
Edmondson.
Did John Newcomb ever win one?
No, Edmondson in 78. Give it to me.
Newcomb might have been before then,
Bounce.
I think.
Oh, out. Come on.
So lucky in that one.
It's been a long time. Obviously, Ash went out in the semi-finals last year.
Yes.
So I reckon she'll have all of Australia barracking for
Big
her.
time.
Mm-hmm.
That would be awesome if the doors opened up and then the crowd came in and got around it. Like, that's sweet.
Yeah, after a few lockdown
Yeah.
games and hopefully, touch wood, it all sorts itself out down there in the next 5 days. But
Good. It's beautiful up here in Canberra. No lockdown. We can get as close to each other as we want.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Give me...
Last
yeah.
Australian to win the Australian Open. Have we got? It was just scrolling back a while.
Can you restart that camera, Monkey? Thank you.
Working out some technical difficulties. You're still scrolling. What year are you at?
Get to 78.
I think Margaret Court's got to be
He's
the last one.
78. Who did you say?
Margaret
Edmondson.
Court.
No.
Edmondson or something?
Chris O'Neill.
Oh, is that the women's?
That is women's.
Women's.
Yeah, Edmondson was 1976.
Oh, 2 years off.
Yeah.
So that was the last man.
When did
50 years last. Been a
when
long time.
Newcomb win an Australian Open?
Don't think so.
Not by that, I wouldn't think. I think he was...
Ooh.
It's like
Kyrgios,
would've been
Kyrgios
75.
broken.
75.
Oh, the year before.
then.
There you go.
So Kyrgios broken. He goes down 4-3 in the fifth.
Trouble
In trouble now.
But yeah, hopefully Nick can break back, but that's
Yes.
the Open where it stands now.
Yep. So that's all the Australian Open stories at this moment.